Welcome back today to the Blissed Biz podcast, episode number 2. And I'm here with my dear friend, Lattice Hudson. Lattice, thank you so much for agreeing to join me on this. Lattice specializes in helping women entrepreneurs to scale their coaching business to 6 figures and beyond with strategy, systems, and leveraged high-ticket group coaching offers. Outside of entrepreneur life, Lattice loves hanging out with me. That's actually not on her bio.
It's true, though.
It would be. She enjoys traveling to warm places and new restaurants. Hi, friend. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here. I just feel so blessed. I'm so grateful to be here. So thanks for having me.
Well, it's mutual. And I don't know if you remember or know this or not, but it was only natural that you were my first guest here. And, I have a feeling that we'll do this more than once. But our conversations really led to the whole inspiration for this podcast. And you're such an awesome leader, and you have such a way of inspiring people that I thought, okay, well, if she helped inspire this podcast, she's going to be my first guest here.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, that makes me so happy. I just try to do my best,
Try to do your best. I love it. So tell us all about you. You grew up in Chicago, right?
Yes, I grew up in Chicago. I was born and raised there. I was born in the city, but then grew up in the suburbs. And then after, in 2015, when I graduated from college with my bachelor's in HR management, I moved back to the city for a little bit. And then I drifted off to Denver. So I've kind of been bouncing around a little bit. But that's kind of a little bit of my backstory. But really, I'm just a regular girl from Chicago that decided to really just go for it. A lot of people ask, how did you kind of get into entrepreneurship, and what inspired you to take the leap? Well,
yeah. How did the bug bite you?
I worked for this wonderful company named Target. I got my first job there when I was 16, and I just loved working there. And I just loved business. I loved how fast paced it was. I just loved every aspect of it. And I really got a lot of my business acumen from working there. I worked there from 16 to 22. So yeah, I loved working at Target, and just had amazing leaders in management. And yeah, they really inspired me to step out on faith and just do what I do now. So yeah, that's kind of the bug that kind of bit me. People used to call me a Target lifer. They were like, Lattice, you're going to be at Target forever. And honestly, I thought that until I just was kind of one day, I was I feel like there's a little bit more to life than working in corporate, and lots of trial and error. And here we are. We're recording this at the end of 2020. So here we are. With a successful business. So
tell me, so many people that are in the corporate world, that's where they stay their whole career. And, what I know about you, you really went up the ladder quickly, very young. So tell me about what kind of some of the reflections your supervisors in that time gave you, that they knew somebody as young as you was ready to take on these leadership roles in these big organizations.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful, because when I was 16 to 18, I was really working in team member roles. And then when I turned 18, I was okay, I had graduated high school and I got this supervisory front end position. So if you guys are ever at Target and you see the people that are at the front of the registers, they're not on a register, but they're supervising. That's the position that I got.
When somebody asked to talk to the manager, that was you.
Yes. The front, the first line manager, that was me. And people think they're just standing there, but they actually have to supervise the lanes to kind of crowd control, and make sure everybody's doing what they need to do. So that was me, little me at 18 years old. And the thing is I went for it. Everybody else that applied for that role was early 20s, mid 20s. And I was hey, I know I can do this. And the thing is for me, what I did was I went and asked for the hard things. I didn't sit back and wait for them to just see the this like light in me, right? I went and asked for the really hard things. I asked for the next level. I asked to support. I asked to like learn other parts because I started off as like a cashier in Starbucks area. And I was like, hey, like, how do you work on the sales floor? And I would stay late. I would just do so many different things. And that's kind of how I proved to my leadership team that like, not that I was worthy of a leadership role, but I could do it. And that's how like at 18, my like leadership career started. And when people, I'm 27 and I'm like, I've almost had 10 years of leadership. There's no way. I'm like, yes way. So for me, it was really just like going out of my own way and asking for the hard things and just showing up, and not backing down from the challenge. So that's really like what they saw in me, and they saw that I was up for it. So yeah, that's kind of how that
And
happened.
what you saw in yourself too, I'm sure,
Yeah.
because those things that you're describing are what every single entrepreneur needs when things get hard, when we, when we open that, those job postings and we're like, I can't do this
Yes.
anymore. That's
You're
what we
like
have to
exit out
show
of
up with,
Indeed.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed
You're
is
like,
like in
I'm gonna
this
open it up.
secret.
Yeah, I got like, it's
Yeah, we
crazy.
have.
I got a job alert the other day. I was like, why the heck am I getting these? It was like some company I applied for like 3 years ago. I'm like, wow, you guys
Yeah,
are
you're like,
finally
when I was in a
updating
bad
your
spot, I applied for a job.
exactly. And I was like, unsubscribe.
Yeah,
But yeah,
exactly.
so
That's such a powerful thing for entrepreneurs. But yeah, that thing that you're describing, that drive to not wait for somebody to hand you a position, not wait for somebody else to come to you and say, "Hey, I think you would be really good at this," but saying, "I want that. I want to give it a try. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to ask for it." Um, and let's talk about that, as an entrepreneur, having to ask for business. When did you first have to do that, and how did it feel? And how have you perfected it over these years?
yeah. So are you like talking about in a sense of like asking for somebody, like asking for like the next level, or just asking for like a sale in my own business like today?
I think how it relates to, well, either you want to tell us, but I think
Yeah.
it relates to asking for your customers to come to
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think back to when I was like 16 years old, and I'm gonna tell this quick little story on why it's like relative to now.
I love
When I
stories.
was yeah, so when I was like 16 years old, this is kind of where some of my leadership skills came into play too. I went to this like Christian summer camp like all my life, and I was like, I want to be a counselor, like a counselor, like you have like a group of girls that you're leading, and I was like, I want to be a counselor. But you had to be 18 years old to be like a full counselor, and I was only 16. So me and my best friend Erin, shout out to Erin, her and
Hi,
I was like,
Erin.
I know, right? I was like, hey Erin, I let's ask like the head program manager to see if we could co-counsel together. I was like, let's see if we could co-counsel these group of middle school girls, and they're going to go for it. She's like, there's no way, we're not 18. I was like, they will go for it. Like, we have the credibility, like they're going to go for it. We've been coming here since we were like 7 years old. They'll do it. So we had a sit down meeting, right? And we talked to like 3 different people, and they said, all right, girls, like we've never done this before, but you and Aaron can co-counsel together, and if anything comes up, it's all on you. So what happened, we were able to get a group of middle school girls that I absolutely like. They were the best group of girls that we could have asked for. And like, that's kind of when I really was like, if I ask, like, I will get what I want. And like, that's like, I've had that when I was younger, but it really clicked at that time because that is something that I really, really wanted, and I got it. So I was like, well, shoot, this will set me free the rest of my life. So I kind of kept that same spirit. And obviously over the time I've gotten shot down and told no, but I mean,
Sure.
we're always going to get told no, but it's what keeps us like focused to keep getting those yeses. So now that is relative to my business because I took on my first coaching client in 2019, and I remember I was getting no's back to back to back to back. And it really just like boiled down to like, I didn't believe in myself. I thought that I wasn't good enough. I thought that I was a nobody, right? I came from corporate at the top of my game, right? I had a 6-figure job at 24. And then I come over to the online space, right? 24, 25. And I'm like, nobody knows my name. So what did I do? Like I showed up like nobody knew my name, and I didn't believe in myself.
Wow.
And I had a period of probably like 20 no's back to back to back. So, like further to say, that was really heartbreaking, but it obviously, like, it kind of fired me up. Like, over the summer 2019, I just like put my head down and got to work, and I finally got yeses. But it was a long road because I was getting no's a lot of the time, and I wanted to give up, but I didn't, because I knew that if I was able to get yeses before in other aspects of my life, I could get yeses now. So that's kind of what
And
just
that's what I was
fired
going
me
to
up.
ask. Was that kind of your self-counseling and that introspection that you're like, okay, I can't blame these 20, 25 other people for telling me no. I can't just decide they're a bunch of jerks. I'm doing something wrong. What do I need to shift? Did you really just like kind of sit down and have that conversation with yourself?
Yeah, really the conversation was like, because I kept telling myself that I sucked at sales. So what happened? I
Ah,
sucked at sales. So the shift that happened was like,
basically.
I'm amazing at sales. Like, I'm a badass at sales. I don't know if we can swear on this podcast, but
You can say badass. I like
okay.
it.
I was like, I'm a badass at sales. And I was like, the next level version of me crushes and closes like high ticket sales with ease. And like, what happened, like a couple of weeks later, like I closed 3 clients back to back to back, and the crazy thing is they all like paid in full. It was like the most
Oh,
insane thing.
wow.
Yeah, so like I like that simple mindset shift of saying that I'm a badass at sales and no longer using that negative language and immersing myself in the sales process and learning to love it was a shift that I had to happen, because it kind of got boiled down to like, I need to pay my rent. Like, that's really what it
For
was. And I was like,
sure. Yeah.
I didn't have an opportunity to just continue to wallow in my own like misery. It was like, all right, let's use buck up. Like, the time is now. And like, what happened? I mean, we crushed it. So that was a really awesome like introspective moment for me, because I had been listening to so many other people and I was like, why isn't it clicking for me? I was over consuming information and not like instilling that belief in myself. So those are kind of the shifts that I like had to make.
And something you just said that really clicks to me is you had to shift the mindset. You had to change the story you were telling yourself about what you were capable of, what the results would be. And you weren't just like, oh, look, I've got happy thoughts now. It all worked out. And you did the work. And you
100%.
said you filled yourself with information, you learned tactics and skills, and married that with the mindset stuff.
Mhm.
And that's what I see so much in, excuse me, the role that I play with business owners is it seems like everybody's on one end of the spectrum. They're, oh, well, just think happy thoughts, and as long as you do your
Let
breath
it
work
flow.
and meditate, let it flow. You don't, if you're stressed in your business, you don't have enough flow. And that's bullshit. And honestly, I think it's a toxic way of approaching people, because owning your own business is freaking hard. It's just hard sometimes.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah.
It's it's
It's so
hard. We
hard.
love it. There's a
I
reason
also
we keep
wanted
doing
to,
it, but
yeah,
it
I wanted
is.
to
It's
add to that
hard
too.
sometimes. Go ahead. Yeah.
It 100% is. And the word with flow, like, it's kind of full of privilege if we really look at it, unpack like where that comes from. Like, the word flow is a very privileged word. And I found that I was like immersed in this, online space full of mostly like, at least what I was seeing. I have since branched out and discovered powerful women of color and Black women that are crushing it in their businesses. But for a while, all I saw was like these white female coaches that were just like full of flow. And I'm like, as a Black woman in America, I fear for my life like most days. So it's like, I don't just get to flow. You know what I mean? So that is like, I really worked to unpack a lot of that, because I was working with coaches that were telling me to do that. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, I can't just flow. And like, that's where I had to really marry taking massive action and and this is for anybody, like whatever, you could be Black, white, pink, or purple. Like, there has to be a balance between the manifestation and the action. It's like faith without works is dead. And the same with your business. Like, manifestation without any action is dead. Like, it's not going to work. And like, when I finally clicked with that, that's when everything changed for me.
That's huge. That's huge. And to your that first point that you made, it's from somebody on the outside, from a leader's perspective, I feel like it's a toxic message that all you need to change is the way you're thinking it, and oh, you're just not making it as easy as you can be. And and that's kind of gaslighting people's real experiences that you're talking about. It's, trying to do only mindset work is gaslighting people that have actual real shit going on in their life, in society, that is pushing them down. So don't with that. And like you said,
Yeah.
there is mindset work to be done, but
Always.
that's not
Always.
all there is to blame. You've got to marry those two of thought processes, what you believe about yourself, what you believe you're capable of, and doing real work and action and learning and education to take yourself to that next level, which you freaking have.
A little bit.
And watching you, especially over this last year, I know this year has been so hard for all of the different reasons for different people. And you have to make shifts, whether you're in corporate America and you have those jobs, or you're an entrepreneur and you have, an online business, an in-person business, anything going on. I think we've had to learn to be malleable in a way that is really uncomfortable this year. So tell me about, some of the events this year and how they shifted how you realize you have to work, and what helped you thrive during a time that was really hard for, everybody in different ways.
Yeah, that's a really introspective question, especially thinking about all the events that happened. It felt like all at once a little bit, but I'll kind of start
Freak.
off back in like March, when COVID really like kicked off. I was just like, what am I gonna do? Like, am I gonna have to get a job? I can't go, but I don't want a job. I can't do this. Like, my business was finally starting to get
Even
like
though that's our
more.
dirty little secret, when things are stressful, we'll pretend to look for jobs. Like, we
Yeah.
don't, that's actually worst case
It's
scenario.
literally like, I was like, no, there's no freaking way. So I just was like, it's not an option. I took it off the table. I was like, it's not an option for me. And I just put my head down and got to work. Cause at that point, like everything was like starting to like shut down really rapidly. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, well, can't do anything, can't really see anybody. Everybody was freaking out. I was like concerned, but like I like lived alone, and like I was like, well, I'm just gonna figure it out and put my head down and learn some new skills. So that's kind of when I started to pick up TikTok, learned how to like navigate that platform. That was really fun for a while, but I kind of like got a little sidetracked on like what I actually needed to do. So fast forward to like end of April, early May, I started to really kick it into high gear. And then I kind of want to point out a really pivotal point. My business was steadily like increasing. I was signing clients. I was doing my foundational things in my business, a lot of social selling, organic outreach that were proven to work. I just was doing more of that, and I had hired 2 team members, and like things were kicking up. And then June hits, when all of the things with like George Floyd, and that was really like, that was a lot. That was really heavy. And it's actually like pretty crazy. The day before no, it was the day after. No, it was the day after that George Floyd was murdered. I was pulled over by a white police officer in Scottsdale. So that was like absolutely terrifying for me. Um,
I, I can't imagine. That's
It was, of course, pretty rude. Like, it just was, I was just like, this is not okay. So I had a couple of days of like introspective, and I was like, something inside of me just like, I was just like, I'm not settling for this BS anymore. I need to use my voice. Like, I'm not the one to potentially be protesting or anything like that. I find that we all have our roles in society. And not that you have to be contained to that role, but like I felt like my voice needed to be used in the space that I had and like what I could do. So I launched like something that probably I would look back on that changed my life for forever. I launched this $99 workshop because I was like, hey, I have this experience, right, in corporate HR. I worked with tons of different people and tons of different backgrounds, and the online space needs this right now because everybody was feeling like guilted and feeling like, what could they do? How could they make things better? And I was like, the only thing that I know how to do is teach. And like, I know how to teach affirmative action, talking about what that needs to look like in the workplace and in your business. So I launched this workshop in June. I was scared out of my mind. And honestly, that was a very pivotal moment for me because that had been at that point. June was like even till like in December 2020, that was the highest revenue month that we had in our business. And I just look back and I think, what if I let that little voice in my head keep me small and keep me stuck and keep me in a spot of, I'm just this like Black girl from Chicago that nobody knows my name. And that's the story I wanted to lead with. But I decided in that moment when I put up that checkout page that it's all or nothing. And fast forward, like we did, I don't want to, like, this is just me saying like what's possible for everybody. We did almost $100,000 in sales that month. So it's like, it's insane. Like
Wow.
it's insane. And I had never dreamt of, like, I knew I was
And
going to
the
do it someday.
value,
Yeah,
like if I can interject from somebody who
absolutely.
paid for and took that course, the value was there. Like the
Yeah.
value was so comprehensive and approached it from every angle. From you're in corporate America, you're dealing with people on a professional level, you're looking at how you're targeting your marketing, you're dealing with your friends and people on a personal level. It was, what I, as your friend and as somebody that consumed that course, what I noticed was my friend that was going through this experience and was having, kind of being bombarded by those DMs of tell me what to do.
Hundreds and
Um,
hundreds and hundreds of messages. It
and,
was crazy.
then my friend that just had this experience that you got pulled over by the white police officer that didn't make you feel safe in that situation, you know, so many people would crumble in fear and be 100% right in
Hmm.
doing so. And it's like you harness that fear that would take most people down and said, I'm going to put something together that's affordable. Like anybody can spend $99 for this course.
Hmm.
I'm going to put something together that's affordable. And it's like you took every ounce of that energy that would crumble anybody else and like packed it full of the most organized, professional, valuable information that everybody needs to have.
Yeah, it was like it was pretty insane. And I remember just like tossing and turning the night because I was like, well, this is what I can do, right? Everybody's asking me what can they do to be better. And the best way I was like, you can buy this $99 workshop and come learn. Like this is if you want information, right? I'm not gonna continue to give out my time and energy in the DMs because I probably was upwards of 1,000 messages over the course of like 2 weeks. And I was
And
like,
that's such an emotional drain. And
it
that's,
was a
I
lot.
think it's important for people to realize that you don't get to have your ignorance be somebody else's emotional drain. Like
Yeah.
in
I
any other topic in the world, you don't get to just reach out to
don't.
somebody that you barely know and
Yeah.
dump your ignorance on them and beg them
To fix
to
it. Yeah.
teach you
Hmm.
or to
Yeah.
fix it. Like
Yeah.
there's no other topic that makes that okay. So race isn't one either. It's
No,
like that's
absolutely
not the
not.
exception that you get to take energetically from people
Yeah.
because you
And
feel
it's
to make yourself feel better.
crazy. I had some people that are like expected me to reply and expected a full length answer. So it's like they have a
Like
launch
you
ready
didn't
to
write me a
go.
book back in the DMs that night.
Right. Like it was pretty crazy. And I just take from that experience that, you just have to go for it, even if it feels uncomfortable. And like that was massively uncomfortable for me. Because I still had those like that imposter syndrome. Like, am I good enough? Like, does it feel like, are people gonna trust me? But like I got like we had no refunds, we had no chargebacks, we had nothing. Like everybody loved it that
Wow.
bought it. And we
Yeah.
had tons of dozens and dozens of people after the workshop buy the replay. So it was like, to say the least, it really catapulted my business to a place where I could like finally make the big moves, like hiring the team members and building out the fancy websites and things like that. And not that like that was necessarily like a big part of it, but I was able to reinvest a lot of that back into my business to continue the momentum for the rest of the year. So I would say out of this entire year, June was like the most pivotal, in a way of like, it was really hard
It was
emotionally
hard
and
and
energetically, but then my business was like literally having its biggest month ever. And like I literally had 2 team members, like both super part-time. So like it was a lot of work, but I like underneath me, like I increased my capacity that month so much that I was just like, wow, I could literally do anything. So that's kind of what, for me, that's been the biggest like pivotal moments throughout the year.
And that's just a huge way, I think, no matter what kind of business anybody's in and no matter what walk of life or expertise people have, they can take you as an example and say, okay, things can be really, really freaking hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I can harness that to something else. Now, this goes into like the perfect next topic because you said biggest months ever in your business. You had two part-time team members. You were on fire, ready to keep providing bigger and bigger value to your client base. When does Lattice time come in?
So I love this question because Sarah has been such a big sounding board for me with putting up like energetic boundaries and taking rest. I honestly didn't really even like coming from working in corporate America, like they don't believe like you're just another body like in corporate, let's just be honest for the most part. So coming into my own business, I took that same mentality and like arguably that's potentially why I've like succeeded so quickly. But if I look back on my time, even throughout this year, I definitely did not take enough rest. And it's kind of catching up to me. So I'm like excited to say I'm taking off the last week and a half of the year. And a big part of that is really like Sarah, like you specifically pouring into me and modeling what rest like actually looks like. Because me, single little me with no children, I'm like, I'm just gonna work to the bone and like recognizing that's not sustainable, that's not healthy, and that's not me modeling a good example for my own clients. And then seeing
Yeah.
Sarah over here with a family and all the amazing things that you have going on and still finding time to take care of yourself. And I was like, that's the life that I want. So I just want to thank you for pouring into me and showing me what rest actually looks like and like true rest, not just like I'm going to not work, like respond to my clients for a day, but I'm still going to work on other things. Like that's not rest. So I just want to say
Right.
thank you for that. And I'm really excited to be
Well, thank
taking off,
you.
I think like 10 days. So I can't wait.
I'm so excited. So by the time this airs, it'll be like towards the end of that time off. So we're gonna all hold you accountable and be like, you didn't do anything during that time.
Nope, just
And I
rest.
appreciate you so much saying that, I've been able to provide that value because as you know, when I was a young entrepreneur, I did not do that for myself. It wasn't even on the table. Like it wasn't even something that I considered being part of my equation.
Yeah.
Um, and and the ways that I burnt myself out and the ways that, you know, when I was like, oh, I've really gone, I've gone really hard this week. That's awesome of me. I took so
Mm-hmm.
much pride in burning myself out and didn't stop to reflect the way you are now of this isn't the best I have to give. Even the people I'm serving by burning myself out, I'm not giving them my best right now. I'm giving them like the gross sludge at the bottom of my empty cup.
Right, and hoping that they're
And,
okay with it. And it's like, that's not
and
fair to
I'm
them.
like, oh, if I throw some flowers on it,
Yeah.
hopefully you don't
Spray some
notice.
spray on it like it's fresh. It's all fresh.
Got some like lavender
Febreze.
renews it.
That's so funny.
My producer, if I'm not allowed to like roast brand names, you can just beep it out or something. But I think that's it. I think that's our end message that, you know, crap is going to happen and it's not easier or harder or better or worse than the next person. It's what you're experiencing and how do you, show up when it's hard, change the story you're telling yourself that you can do this. What are the tools you need to go use? What's the education you need to take yourself to the next level? And then freaking rest.
Pressed
Kick your feet
more
up.
than anything. Yeah.
And
For
let
me, it was
yourself
like, yeah.
have, oh, go ahead. What?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking a lot of it is letting yourself have things that you enjoy that aren't your business.
Yeah, that's
Like
been a
when you
big one for me.
say, I was reading a Forbes article about entrepreneurs talking about work-life balance, which I don't love that nomenclature, but we'll run with it for, brevity's sake. 3 out of 5 entrepreneurs that wrote their article about their work-life balance said, my business is my hobby. I love it so much that working on it all the time is my balance. No, it isn't.
I'm triggered right now.
I want to like stalk. What'd you say? You feel what?
I feel triggered and called out.
Triggered?
Trigger culture. I really feel triggered right now. Like my literal body just got attacked. My whole body pulsed. I was like, that's me. I don't really have hobbies. But my business, I have hobbies.
You and I enjoy some delicious food.
Yes, I know. I'm like, I need more hobbies though. So,
but you like to travel. You spend like every day you spend time outside. You know, you schedule. I'm always so proud of you that you're like, you know, I can't schedule at that time. That's when I go on my walk. Mm-hmm. Things like that is what recharges us. But when I read articles like the one I'm telling you about, I'm like, I need to reach out to those people. Like,
I need to help them.
Have a little talk.
We need to have a sit down.
You don't know me, but we need to talk. But that's it. Discover the things, even if it's little things like having a walk in the morning. Mm-hmm. But also discover travel, food, puzzles. I don't care. What are things that you enjoy that don't require your business to be your hobby? Because you're going to burn out. You're going to get pissed at your business. Mm-hmm. And
you're going to want to tear it down.
Here we are.
There's so many times I'm like, I just want to tear it down and start all over. And it's like,
just tear it down.
Calm down, Lattice. You can't
burn this bitch to the ground.
You have like 50 clients right now. You need to calm down. And I'm like, but then I rest and then I feel better. So it's like rest. And I think the other thing too is like, it's one thing to say you're going to rest, right? But it's another thing to actually enforce that rest and like put like boundaries. It's another thing that you've really taught me is like putting in boundaries and enforcing these boundaries and holding yourself accountable to the boundaries, because it's like you need to honor those commitments because it's going to put you in a better spot than where you were at before. So that's something I really learned a lot from you too. And I've gotten so much better at boundaries in my business because before I was letting people pay me whenever they wanted and all types of crazy stuff. And that was just like literally tearing me apart because I was like, I'm not able to serve because I'm worried if somebody's going to make their payment. Not because it's like, I'm worried about the money, but it's because it's like, that causes this weird, awkward
that's a different energy.
Feeling. Yeah, and I don't want that. 100%. Yeah. So now we have team members that handle all that. Everybody's on auto pay. Life's great, and I can just serve and coach people and like run my business, and that's what I love to do. So it feels 1,000 times better. Yeah, I remember us having this conversation, and like I think it was right, like maybe it was in March, right before everything shut down. We were at brunch, and I was like, we were sitting in your car, and I was like, like all these people are like paying me whenever they want, and it's really pissing me off. Like, how do I fix this? And like you need to get people on auto pay. Like, do it this way, and like you really helped me with that. So thank you again, Sarah, because you've been such a beacon of light for me.
Well, I think I know the feeling's mutual. So tell us, what are you working on now? What do you offer now for your people? That are listening?
Yeah. So for most people that are coming to me for the first time, I primarily work with women, but I also do have some men in my ecosystem. But right now, we are gearing up for 2021. I'm claiming myself as a social selling expert. So I have this fabulous little product. It's called Conversations That Convert. And it's really the one thing that helped me grow my business from like $3,000 a month to over $20,000 per month. And it's really understanding how to have organic conversations in the DM to get your customers to buy from you. So that's something that we are really looking at expanding in 2021. And we have that.
And I love that. I actually have a client that we built her business from the ground up. She's just launching her new business now. And she messaged me and she was like, I just needed a little bit of help. So I bought Lattice's Conversations That Convert and it's helping me so much for this. And then like she reached back out to me and we helped incorporate that course into how she's launching this program. So she loved it.
Yeah, it's gotten such great feedback, and it's just like it's a small little offer, and it just shows you like the framework on how to have these conversations, because typically people think about having cold conversations, it's really gross and icky, and I've just taken a completely
we've all received those DM messages that are
buy my
like,
stuff.
hi, how are you? Looking at photos, looking at your name, it looks like you could probably use this. Here's my sign up link. And you're like, ew.
It's $1,000. Like, who are you?
I don't know if I want it or not, but now I don't.
Yeah. And you don't even know my name. Half the times they're like bots. Like they're like, hey name, because bot couldn't grab your name. So anyway, yeah, it's like I've gotten those. It's like, hey name, how are you? Happy holidays. It's like, ma'am, it's July, but
my name's not name.
Exactly. So I've taken a completely different spin. So you guys can, I think Sarah will probably drop it in the show notes, but you guys can find that.
Yeah, I'll have Lattice, I'll have your website, and I'll make sure and get a link from you for the conversations that convert, your Instagram, all the ways to find Lattice in the show notes. Lattice, thank you so much for joining me.
Honored.
And everybody listening, thanks for dropping in.